Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is Lisa Elvin Stoltari, and I'm a genealogist and a passionate traveler. Over the last few years, I've been teaching each fille du roi or king's daughter, getting to know their stories a little bit better. We have, um, there are over 700, and we're on episode 212. So we've got a long way to go. Um, Today's episode, like I said, is 212. Before we get started, let me show you ways that you can support the channel. The first three keep you in the know. Subscribe, like, and notify. The next three are ways to help the channel grow. Coffee is a one-time payment if you like. We have Patreon, which is a monthly subscription. And then we have Super Thanks, which is another one-time payment. And then we also have the PayPal that's on my website. Have Roots Will Travel if you like PayPal. With that being said, I want to make sure to thank those of you who have shown your support and are enthusiastic about what I do. I really, really appreciate it. So let's get started and get to know our fille du roi of this episode. So, Les Filles du Roi, the episode 212, Marguerite Itas. I hope I'm saying it correctly. This was a viewer request, but once I dug in, we have the boy next door's wife, and one of my genealogy colleagues who helped me out in a library project. These are all descendants of Marguerite. So let's get to know Marguerite a little bit better. So she was born in 1647 in the region of Normandy, in the Département de Ur, in the little commune that she lives in, little village, Saint-Simeon, about 300 people living there. And I kind of drew where that little blue blue square is in the middle. I should have put a circle around it, but the blue square you can see where it is in relationship to Le Havre and Rouen. Caen is there. So you kind of get that it is really literally in the not the middle of nowhere, but it's certainly hidden. The church here, I was able to get a picture, but I didn't get much information. So anybody with more information on that church or Saint-Simeon, I greatly appreciate it. The parents of Marguerite are Jean Itas and Marguerite Casson. There was no mention of her parents' death. We just know that she came to Canada at about 20 years of age. She boarded the Saint Louis de Dieppe and arrived in New France on September 25th, 1667. Now, the groom that she selected and who selected her, his name was Jacques Aubuchon de Leloil et Desailly, big name. And he's one of a pioneer. He's born in 1617, so right away you know that he's significantly older than she is. He was born in Dieppe, Normandy. His parents were Jean Aubuchon and Catherine Le Marchand. The church where he would have been baptized in was built after 1522, replacing the 13th century. This is l'Église Saint-Remy. Dieppe is a city on the sea with its beginnings in 1030. It was truly a jewel in the crown of both France and England with its strategic location. Many famous explorers and cartographers come from this area. It's renowned for its seafood, notably scallops. Throughout the Protestant wars of the Middle Ages, many Protestants, known as Huguenots, left from Dieppe to escape persecution and make new lives in the Americas. November 1667, Marguerite and Jacques were married at Cap de la Madeleine. Now, but Jacques was a widower. He had with Mathurine Poisson 8 children. So she's coming into this marriage as a stepmother. So that's already, she's 20 years old, So picture it. Settled down in Cap de la Madeleine. It was founded on March 20th, 1651 by Jacques de la Ferté, who was the abbot of Sainte-Madeleine de Châteaudun in France. The city is famous for its Basilica Notre-Dame du Cap, dedicated to Our Lady of the Cape. The Basilica receives thousands of pilgrims and visitors each year. There are at least 2 miracles that were performed here in the late 1800s. I just love to show this picture. I always talk about it, but it is true. This shoreline probably looks exactly as it would have looked in Marguerite and Jacques' time. They would have seen this and said, wow, this is how beautiful this land was. And I like to picture it and think this is what it looked like when they were living there. On to have 4 children. We have Jeanne, who married Florent Leclerc and had 9 children, 6 of whom would make it. Marguerite would marry Pierre Deroisier and had 9 children, all of whom would make it. Then we have Pierre and René, neither of which I have information on, but you know, I'm always open to the possibility that it was just perhaps they moved away, perhaps they weren't engagés. When I don't have a death record, you don't know. You just don't know. And this is the 1681 census, where Jacques is 59, Marguerite is 34. Their children, Jeanne, Marguerite, Pierre, and Jacques. Jacques is probably Jacques René. They have 2 guns, 10 bêtes, 10 goats, and 30 arpents. So he obviously was a very wealthy gentleman, had built up his life. Now notice that none of his children from his previous marriage are living with them. They probably at that point had gotten, had moved on. And so now we just have the second family. Despite the fact that Marguerite was so much younger, she did pass away at the age of 42. She and Jacques would have been married about 22 years at that point. And it is by 1729, even though she only had really 2 children that produced descendants, she would have an astonishing, for that time, 73 descendants already. So that was amazing. Now, Jacques himself would live on to the ripe old age of 84. Just a remarkable individual. And they are both buried at Trois-Rivières. To find out more information about Jacques and his first wife and that family, please have a look at our Free French Canadian Ancestors Facebook page. They will link you up with the volume 4, that features Jacques Aubuchon in our French Canadian Ancestors, and I've provided the links for you. Some of my favorite resources I'd like to talk to you about: the Quebec Genealogical E-Society. I haven't talked about that in a little while. It's relatively new, but I really like the purpose of it is to join people that couldn't go to a regular society, and at least have that. Certainly during COVID, it was a wonderful resource, and they have lots of webinars and lots of interesting things. So I would absolutely give them a look-see. I've put all the links to these resources are in the notes section of this YouTube video. And so we end episode 212, Marguerite Itas. She didn't live a very long life, but she made an impact because she had, quite a number, 73 descendants. It's nothing to sneeze about. And she only had really 2 children that produced descendants. She married into or with someone who had long ties to the community and probably took care of her very, very well. These were hard times for women, and her early death obviously was tragic, but not uncommon for that time. So we bless her memory. We are thankful that she came to our shores, and we are very grateful for her contribution. And I'm also very thankful for my patrons and supporters. Thank you so much. All their names are listed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Really appreciate all that you do. You support me emotionally, but I'm like, what have I taken on? So thank you so much for being there for me, and your sweet notes and all of that, all the comments. I really appreciate everything that you do for me. So thank you again, and I will see you on episode 213. Until then, au revoir.